We're going to talk about go-to-market now, which is the tough part, right? Yes. Let's go. Can you guys just quickly intro yourself, like 1 minute, not too long. Just what do you do? What's the project doing? And that's it. Stop there. Okay, you're going to go.
Hello everyone, my name is Yuan Bui. I'm the co-founder of Gradient Network. So I was listening to the previous panels. I've heard some keywords because the AI adoption is accelerating. So I feel like there's a new paradigm of compute coming. So there are a few keywords. So scalable, verifiable, and low latency, and also privacy conserving. So I think that's the trend of the future compute. So basically at Gradient, what we're trying to do is we want to aggregate all those underutilized compute resources and form a unified layer and to fill into those kind of use cases. So that's what we're doing at Gradient Network.
Okay, thank you. Next. 1 minute.
Hi guys, I'm Nguyen Bui, co-founder and chief of growth at Inferix.io. We are decentralized GPU network for AI training and visual computing. We've been in Web 2 business for more than 5 years, about 3D rendering. And in 2023, we tried to decentralize the network to cut the cost for our client. And then we got the partner and supplier with many H100s for us to become the network of AI training also. Thank you.
Hi everyone, this is Asa. I'm a BD lead at Ionet. We are building the world's largest decentralized enterprise GPU cloud. And last year we undertook to take the world's largest growth campaign to scale our supply base. So very excited to talk on this channel about GTM, both on the supply and on the demand side.
Thanks.
I'm Niko from Easy Labs. We are building the world's first free payment processor. So credit cards, debit cards, and every other form of payment. We use Solana-based payment rails and the efficiency unlocks of Web3 to be able to significantly decrease the cost of payment costs today in action with real revenue generating customers. And our goal is, as I mentioned, to get to a free state in the future. So GTM is incredibly important for that.
Let's go.
Thanks, guys. I'm Nirav, the founder of Camp Network. We're an autonomous IP layer built as a layer 1 blockchain. The idea of Camp is users can onboard their data and IP, tokenize it such that other people can access this and train agents on it, then also deploy agents for future community usage. Very interesting GTM panel because obviously we sort of handle the layer on AI below compute. So I'm sure I'll be working with a lot of you in the future, especially as we sort of start to deploy a lot of these agents. But that's what we're building in a nutshell.
Nice.
Hey guys, Jonathan from Exabits, and we are a compute protocol. So beyond that, we have leveraged our history of building over 100 data centers, and now we have such a huge number of Rolodex to leverage that and supply data center grade GPUs to the market. We are also working with enterprise grade companies and also some of our close partners, Ionet, Aether, Hyperbolic, some of our distributors and partners also in the space.
Nice. All right, we're going to kickstart with the basic. What's the biggest challenge that you're facing now, guys?
The biggest challenge for us?
In the go-to-market, right? Specifically in the go-to-market.
In the go-to-market, it's always been on the demand side, right? Like the supply side hasn't been a problem, right? Anyone who has a GPU can easily plug into the network. Data centers also always seem to have idle supply. So they're, of course, willing to find and broaden their perspectives on where they can put their GPUs. So finding the demand when you're up against the large incumbents, AWS, Google, Microsoft, it's really hard to find it. But then in this space, we've been lucky, right? Because there's such a huge spike in demand for AI workloads that even the large incumbents, for some reason, can't service them all, right? They're prioritizing these enterprise companies who have the ability to pay three years upfront or 4 years upfront, but an early stage startup can't. Right, so that's where Ionet comes in. That's where Exabits comes in to fill that market need.
Thanks.
Yeah, I would say on our side, it's a little bit different because obviously as a layer one, it's like somewhat akin to starting a religion where you need to get a really big community from day one
Yes.
as well as get a really big ecosystem. But I think we're seeing a couple of pretty interesting things, exactly what you alluded to. Still the best use case of tokens today is capital formation and basically your initial community spend. So on the supply side, it's never really been an issue. On the demand side of things, where we see models really trending towards is like effectively meme coins attached to some off-chain agents. And so what we're really interested in trying to do is get users, because our belief is the future of the world is agent-to-agent interactions. And if you sort of believe that to be the use case, then you need not only task-specific agents, but also user-specific agents. And so what we're really trying to do is bring users on board to actually have them post their data on-chain, whether that lives via a ZK proof or within a TE or whatnot, but then have people really train agents around that. So it's almost a two-step process of the go-to-market. Number one is bring stuff on-chain. Number two is do stuff on-chain around those actual data. So we're starting to see a pretty good growth on the first side of things. The second side, we've seen a lot of good macro tailwinds from things like virtuals and ELIZA, but long way to go ahead of it on our side as well.
Thanks. Niko?
Our biggest challenge comes down to the fact that we're working in a very regulated space. And so there's been, over the last 50 to 70 years, there's been so much regulatory capture in the payment space and in the banking industry that the amount of sheer waste that is present in the middleman stack, trying to find a way around that in creative ways, that's functionally why we are working with Web3. That's why we're working with Solana, with smart contracts, with all of this kind of technology, because it allows us in a way to create an offering where we can step around the most time and cost frictions that we can, or we can interface directly our customers to each other across borders and make effectively zero cost transactions and get around this legacy institution that exists just to maintain its own power.
So you say the regulation is the biggest challenge now because you guys have to go around that to kind of demonopolize that.
And if you think about it, a lot of these companies, like the large credit card companies, the large banks, et cetera, the way that they've created these regulations over the last 50 or 70 years, they've made it so that they are always part of the stack. And so when we see like payments, if any of you take credit cards on your platforms or on your businesses and they charge you almost 3%, 75% of that is middleman fees. That it's not about risk, it's not about fraud prevention, it's about paying somebody just to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go for it.
Okay. I do resonate a lot with what Niko just said, right? Like we are up against, like Jonathan said, AWS, GCP, and these Azure, these centralized cloud providers, and they put in a lot of guardrails, a lot of like modes to keep the smaller players out of the game. So I do agree the demand and more specifically trust building and brand building on the demand side is a very important like uphill battle we need to fight, and we are trying to approach that from all kinds of angles. So we are like releasing not just general crypto partnerships, but more deep dive case studies to promote what exactly are people doing on the decentralized compute network and why can you also do something similar to what other people have already been doing, and also just like use the momentum from the supply side of the network to optimize for the best suppliers so that we can offer the highest quality service to the demand side. So this is an uphill battle, but we are trying very hard to fight it.
Thanks.
Yeah. We've been in Web2 business for almost 6 years, and currently we have over 200,000 our users, clients who use our Web2 network to design 3D rendering. So for the demand for visual computing, we had cut the cost for the client and users, and we believe that the demand in terms of visual computing is not a very big problem for us, but for demand for the AI training, currently we have 5 committed clients that will use our network when we go live. But I think the client in the AI training will be a long time, and we need to try a lot to grow more. I think we're happy on supply side. We have a pretty good partner or suppliers that the Supernode Alliance that supply H100 to our network and a lot of like big GPU. But I think when we launch our mainnet, which is happening in April, I think we Recently, we extended to Solana, which is very important to recruit more other suppliers. That's very, I think, wise decision for us to grow. But to recruit more the AI trading client, we need to have a really dig deep in the AI trading market, especially in the US. And that's our big challenge.
Okay. Gradient, biggest challenge at GPM.
Uh,
GTM.
So I think there are two challenges. I think the first challenge is so we're 5 months in. Right now we have more than 1 million concurrent nodes running in the world, covering most of the countries. But our adoption, our demand side will start from a certain region. So I think it's very hard to keep a balance when you are bootstrapping the demand side from one region. At the same time, you want to maintain a global supply side. So from a tokenomic perspective, you need to build up a very flexible, very sophisticated way to keep it sustainable. The second thing is when we are trying to render in services, so some of the components as a distributed network is quite important, such as verifiability. So you need to provide proof of the computation. But right now, TEE and also like ZK proof or some sampling technologies, sometimes the overhead of the computation is quite high. So how to create a robust framework to integrate those kind of technologies into your service offering, that's also a very big challenge for us.
All right, nice. Follow-up question on this is, what do you think is the biggest mistake that DePIN project can make when they are trying to tackle the go-to-market? Niko.
I think it really comes down to if you are a DePIN project and you've got a token design and a token incentive model, you need to nail that at the beginning. You absolutely need to nail that. And if it takes longer to launch because you need to nail that strategy, take longer to launch, because we see so many projects that did this correctly. Like top of mind, HiveMapper, one of the best tokenomics that I've seen for coordination on physical effort, that to this point, they've given away a single-digit percentage, maybe low double-digit percentage of their total token supply, and they've mapped, 35% of the world's roads? That is a good token model. That's a good token design, whereas you see other companies that they're at a good growth trajectory, but they've given away 70, 80% of the supply. So now there's so little room left to actually create those incentives for a long-term growth that, I think for me, that's all it comes down to, is token design, incentive design.
Yeah, I mean, just to double down on that, like obviously some of the OG DePIN projects were really, really good ideas, but the problem was it was just so early in the cycle where nobody really understood what token design really meant, and so the result of those is like a graveyard of these ideas that now we expect to see come back in like 5 years with more sophisticated understanding. It's not totally dissimilar to like gaming when you think about it, because again, like tokens are just similar to any community building, and you saw a lot of these early games just say like, all right, screw it, like let's get to $2 billion FTV in the first 3 days by giving away 70% of the supply. And then when everybody dumped, they're like, oh shit, like what are we supposed to do now? And so I think over time, like exactly what he said about HiveMapper, which I still think is kind of the gold standard of like DePIN projects in general, you're gonna start to see a lot smoother growth trajectories. You're looking at like mid double digits growths over like a 5 to 7 year horizon, as opposed to like 500% in year one and then negative growth beyond that. So I think it's like very, very essential. You know, it's almost like paramount to make sure you have token design as opposed to rushing a project. And so I think one of the things we expect to see is like longer development cycles as opposed to early TGE cycles and then trying to figure it out right after as well.
So product first and white paper next.
It's crazy. I know that doesn't exist in Web3, but like product first, like community, and then like monetization on top of that.
Okay, we can
crazy. We can fix it. We're early in the cycle still, as I say.
Yeah, that's what we've been focusing on to build an actual business, right? So we have enterprise data centers supplying us GPUs, and then on the other side, we finally have enterprise clients. We've actually hit 8-figure ARR in the last couple of months, right? So, and we've been just focusing on, okay, what does the customer really want? And then after that, we've always been protective on our socials, being like, oh, we don't have a tokenomics yet. We're not ready to airdrop billions of tokens to you guys for no reason. Instead, we've built the sort of the slow way, right? Like, okay, build a real business, and how can you build and assimilate the business model into the tokenomics so that it's one, sustainable, and two, the participants have a real sort of vision on how value accrual can be in the network, and then after that they can participate. Maybe we'll do an airdrop in the future that makes sense, but right now, just for the sake of doing an airdrop, just to get a bunch of people's eyes on it who will dump on you on the first day, has always been our cautionary approach on building a sort of sustainable economy in the DePIN network.
And Asa, on the Ionet side, you guys started like full vertical, right? And then you had to figure it out after, right? Like, how did you manage to go run that?
Well, I think one biggest pitfall that we have seen during our growth trajectory is really to think very clearly, are we 2B or are we 2C? And that makes a big difference, because are you speaking to the community, the individuals, and get them all hyped and excited? Or are we looking to serve business needs in a very stable, professional, and regulated way? And these are quite different in terms of product design. And I feel our first iteration of the product kind of mixed the two and didn't make either party happy. But what we do now is that we have both a 2B product, the IO Cloud, where people can get B2B level of support and reliability as they will get from any other data center and cloud provider. And we also have IO Intelligence. That's just an API and user interface where if you're building the AI agent, you can just call our model, a cloud hosted model, and you are your AI inference is just an API call away. So I guess that's the biggest lesson we have learned. And I think for any DePIN project, it's very important to think about, is your product designed for 2B or 2C, or at least as a first cohort?
Well, you don't really, at first, eventually, but sooner or later, you're going to have to deal with the two part of this kind of business, right? How do you guys deal with that? You just mentioned it. How do you deal with the fact that you have to communicate, in Web 2, build a product for Web 2, but at the same time, you have a token that is subject to token market and etc. That stuff.
Yeah, that's always has been a difficult question. And how we are approaching it is we hired a very professional team of solution architect and sales engineer who have a lot of experience working in the best Web 2 tech companies, so that we speak the same language as our 2B clients. And I think that's a very important step to build trust and build the first step of the relationship. And then we focus a lot on business continuity. So we believe we're actually one of the first DePINs to have a very positive ARR or annual total network earning. And we have more than $30 million in annual network earnings. So that's helping a lot. We are not just burning the value of the token to support the network. We actually make people see there is some continuity, there is sustainability to the business model.
And specifically in the case of Inferix, you guys mentioned that you guys had only Web 2 customer before. How do they see the kind of move that now you're doing to Web 3? How do you communicate that? How do you deal with it?
So when we released our MVP for visual computing, we cut the cost of rendering by half and cut the timing of rendering by 1/10. So yeah, of course our users, our client happy about that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that was a real obvious value.
Just thanks to Web3, we can crowdsource GPU and cut the cost and cut the time, and the clients, they don't have to spend much money on centralized server, centralized GPU, but they can only use their own laptop, but renders really faster. But I think one of the biggest challenge in the DePIN project is about tokenomics design. And we learned it from the high mapper from Helium, from Render Network, and we developed our own model called BMW. Just burn, meet, and work model. So we add the work to evaluate the efficiency of the GPU. Not only that the GPU need to be live, but also need to be efficient on the network. And the burn and meet, we use 80%. At least 80% of our revenue to buy back the token and burn. And also, I think in A16Z article, they challenged the DePIN project about verification on-chain of the device. And we developed an algorithm called active noise algorithm for DePIN verification. And we already released our MVP about DePIN verification on our white paper.
And on your side, at Gradient, how do you onboard the Web2 user? How do you bridge the gap? At Gradient.
I think Gradient is just we we started. It's just five months. So we're not at the point of starting to communicate with our end users. But at the very beginning, we have already started the effort of talking to like business enterprises who are the potential clients of us. So I think in terms of like what DePIN project wants to avoid. So first thing, I totally agree that the tokenomics design is an important part because I have been with, before Gradient, I was with Helium for 3 years, looking after the growth on the APAC side. So there's a lot of trials in terms of tokenomics. So I think the tokenomic design is a crucial part of a sustainable DePIN project. And secondly, I think DePIN project at the very starting point, you need to ask yourself several questions. Is there an existing potential market? And what region are you going to be focusing on, and what kind of tactics or like a pathway you're starting to build from supply side, and eventually you want to build a supply side demand side balance. You have to have this in mind from the first day. So basically, that's my experience on those matters.
Which is kind of hard, right? Because we always talk about product market fit, right, in entrepreneurship. So you guys and us as well in the go-to-market, we're facing that. Like you have to put on paper inside the tokenomic the logic of a product that you don't know exists yet. So you have to figure it out even before. Thank you so much, guys. Maybe we can take a question from the public, guys. Do you want to ask the panel a question? Raise your hand. Really, it's an open floor. All right, we're good. No question then. Thank you so much, guys. We move on the next panel, but please give a big round of applause to the guys. You guys have an amazingly successful project, and you guys are gonna kill it. Thank you so much.